the kingdom of Abanji, where the river spoke and the wind carried the voices of the ancestors, there once lived a woman named Nyara whose beauty was said to rival the dawn. Her laughter was a song that floated through the courtyards, and her kindness was known even among the market children who followed her with baskets of kola nuts and stories. She was the wife of Edwail, the king's best warrior, whose spear had once turned the tide of war and saved Abanji from its enemies. Together they were beloved, a union of grace and strength, of heart and blade. But beauty and favor in this world and in all worlds draw envy like honey draws ants. Among the king's wives was one whose heart had long been twisted by jealousy, Queen Morwa, first wife to King Ajaka. She had no child, and though her rooms were filled with gold, her heart was barren. When word spread that Nyara carried life within her, a child whose coming had been foretold by the seers as a bearer of great destiny, Morwa's envy burned like oil on fire. It was said that during the festival of harvest, the wind carried an omen. The sacred ibis flew backward across the sun, and the river swelled though no rain had fallen. The priests trembled, saying, "A child has been conceived under the mark of the river spirit. Such a one will either save this kingdom or destroy it." When the king asked whose womb bore the child, the diviners named Nyara. Morwa smiled then, but her smile was the curve of a snake before it strikes. Days turned to weeks and the whispers grew. Some said Nyara had consorted with spirits by the river, others that her husband's blood had mixed with something otherworldly. By the time her belly had begun to swell, fear had replaced joy. One evening the drums were silenced and messengers came to her courtyard with torches. The king's decree was clear. She was to be taken from the city before the moon rose again. No trial, no plea, banishment. Nyara begged for mercy, her voice trembling like a reed in the wind. "My king," she cried, "the child in my womb is innocent. Have I not served this land with loyalty and love? Why cast me away?" But King Ajaka, torn between duty and fear, could not meet her eyes. "The spirits have spoken," he said. "We dare not challenge their warning." So they took her at dusk, her wrists bound with vine, and drove her out through the eastern gate. Edwail tried to follow, but the guards held him back. He roared like a wounded lion, his eyes wild, his heart broken. The last thing Nyara saw before the jungle swallowed her was her husband's face, shining with tears and firelight. She wandered for days beneath the tall trees, her feet bleeding, her voice hoarse from calling the names of her ancestors. She spoke to the river spirits, to the wind, to her unborn child. "Little one," she whispered, "you are all I have now. If the world turns its face from us, then we shall find our place in the wild." On the seventh night, when the moon was thin and red, she came upon a clearing by a waterfall. The air shimmered with mist, and from the spray emerged an old woman clothed in leaves and light. Her eyes were milky, yet she saw more than sight could show. "Nyara," the woman said, "I am Nino, mother of rivers, keeper of the unborn. Fear not your banishment, it is the path the spirits have chosen. The child you carry is not cursed but blessed. He shall be called Osai, the one who rises after ruin. Raise him in the shadow, and when the drums of Abanji fall silent, he shall bring back their song." Then the old woman vanished into mist. That night by the waterfall's roar, Nyara bore her son. She named him Osai, just as the spirit had said, and the stars seemed to lean close to see his face. He did not cry. Instead, he opened his eyes, bright as fireflies in the dark, and looked at his mother with calm that was not of this world. Nyara built a small hut near the water and lived there alone. Years passed. Osai grew strong and wise, learning from the forest, from the wind, from his mother's stories. He could run faster than the deer, climb higher than the palm trees, and speak softly to birds that came to rest upon his arm. Yet even as he laughed, Nyara sometimes caught him staring at the horizon where Abanji's walls would be, and she felt the pull of destiny stirring like the tide. Meanwhile in the kingdom, the years had turned bitter. The same river that once gave Abanji its wealth now receded, shrinking each year until cracks split the earth. The crops withered, children coughed, and the drums no longer sounded in joy. The priests threw bones and heard only silence. Queen Mara whispered in the king's ear that the gods were angry still because Nyara's cursed child lived. "Until the seed of that woman is destroyed," she hissed, "this kingdom will know no peace." The king, now old and weary, sent hunters to scour the borders for the exiled woman. None returned. One season, the drought deepened beyond memory. Animals fled, wells turned to dust, and famine gnawed at the people's bones. Nyara, too, felt the land's pain. The waterfall that had once sung lullabies to her son now trickled faintly. She knew then that the time was near. One evening she called Osa and placed a carved talisman in his hand, a smooth stone etched with river symbols. "My son," she said softly, "you were born in exile, but the blood that flows in you is of kings. The kingdom that cast us out now bleeds from its own wounds. Go to them. The spirits will show you the way." Osai bowed his head. "But mother, they despised us. Why should I save those who cursed your name?" Nyara smiled sadly. "Because hatred is the fire that consumes itself. Only love rebuilds the ashes. Go, my son, let your spirit be the rain that ends their drought." He left at dawn, his mother watching as his figure melted into the mist. As he walked, storms gathered, the first clouds Abanji had seen in years. By the time he reached the outskirts of the kingdom, thunder echoed across the hills. He found Abanji hollow. The once mighty walls were cracked, the fields bare, the people weak and fearful. When he entered the market, no one recognized him, only a stranger with eyes like sunlight after rain. He helped lift water from dry wells, healed the sick with herbs his mother had taught him, and soon stories spread of a mysterious wanderer whose touch brought hope. Then came the night of the storm. Lightning clawed the sky, and the river, long thought dead, roared back to life. But with it came the shadow that had long been sleeping beneath its bed. A serpent spirit, vast and terrible, its scales black as the night between stars. It was the punishment of the gods, awakened by the greed and deceit of men. The serpent rose, coiling above the palace, its hiss drowning the thunder. Panic seized the people. The king, frail and trembling, called out to the gods for help, but none answered. Osai, hearing the cries, came to the palace gate. The guards barred his way until he raised the talisman his mother had given him. At its sight, the wind howled and the serpent turned its gaze toward him. The old king, seeing the stone's markings, fell to his knees. "The child of the river it cannot be," he whispered. "Nyara's son." The serpent struck, but Osai did not run. He raised the talisman and it shone like the sun on water. The storm paused. Lightning froze in midair. From the river's depths, voices rose, the spirits of the ancestors calling his name. Osai, child of the outcast, bridge between curse and blessing, end what began. He stepped forward, chanting words older than the kingdom, words his mother had sung while grinding millet and whispering to the night. The serpent writhed, its coils thrashing, breaking towers and shaking earth. The people watched in awe as the young man, son of a woman they had cast out, faced the wrath meant for them. He pressed the talisman to his chest and light poured from him, rippling through the storm. The serpent roared one last time and dissolved into mist. The rain began, gentle and warm, washing away dust, blood, and tears. Osai fell to his knees, weak but alive. The river flowed full once more, clear as crystal, its song sweet with forgiveness. The king came down from his throne, his crown heavy with shame. "You have done what no man of Abanji could," he said. "Who are you?" Osai looked up, his eyes calm as the dawn. "I am the son of Nyara, the woman you called cursed. The river never cursed her, only tested your hearts." Silence filled the palace. Then from the shadows a figure appeared, Nyara, aged but radiant, rain glistening on her face. She had followed her son through the storm. The people gasped, some falling to their knees. Even Marwa, the jealous queen, cowered before her. The king wept. "Forgive us," he said, "for the blindness of fear." Nyara took his hand gently. "It is not mine to forgive, my king. The river forgives when its course is restored." And so peace returned to Abanji. The land blossomed, children laughed, drums sang again. Nyara lived to see her son honored not as a savior but as a bridge between what was broken and what was healed. When she died, they buried her beside the river, and it is said that in the moonlight her reflection still appears, smiling, whispering blessings to those who draw near with clean hearts. And Osei ruled with wisdom, remembering always that love born in exile can redeem even a kingdom lost to pride. They say that when the rains come late, the elders still pour libation by the water's edge and murmur, "May the spirit of Nyara watch over us, and may the child of the storm never sleep." And the river answers, soft and endless, "I do not forget."